Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome.
It's Friday.
It's
Yay.
Friday. What? Welcome to Friday
Yay.
Night Live. We are live on Facebook. Guys, my name is Jen, and it's so good to be back with you this week. Wendy, it's so good to
It's
see
good.
you again.
It's good to have you back. You
It's
were
good
missed
to be
last
back.
week.
Thank you. I missed you guys a lot. It was very weird to be sitting at home because you can't go anywhere and do nothing. But it was really nice to just have a little time off. But I missed you guys a lot. So it's good to
It's
be
good to have you
back.
back.
And
My
I need
name
to
is
introduce you. Go,
okay.
go, Wendy.
Okay. That's what I missed last week too. Is like I said, my hello, my name is Wendy, and I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I struggle in the area of codependency and control, and there was nobody to talk back.
Hi, Wendy. I'm here to
Hi.
talk back. Well, and I'm Jen, and I'm a grateful follower of Jesus, and I struggle with anger and self-hatred. And we're back together. Wendy, it's just so good to be together. I know your
Yes.
holidays are coming up soon, and I'll do it on my own, and we'll figure it out. But it's yeah, we're a great team, I think.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I am doing announcements here tonight, guys. So let me get to those. So, welcome. If you are new and you have no idea what CR is, you have no idea what FNL is, it's Friday Night Live, and we are a part of Celebrate Recovery. So we can't obviously meet at Creekside on Friday nights anymore. So we're live on the internet every single week, and we're so glad you're joining us. So if you are new, and you feel comfortable joining the comment community, we would love to have you do that. Let us know who you are, where you're from. We'd love to just give a little shout out to you and welcome you into our little flock. I'm seeing a lot of you guys coming back. Or joining us. Thanks for the welcome backs. It is good to see all of my familiar regs again here on Friday Night Live. If you would like to join our open share group tonight, it is not too late. If you can send us an email as soon as possible to, let me get our email up there on the screen. If you are a reg, you should have this email just as memorized as like Wendy and I do, but cr@creeksidechurch.ca. If you don't have it memorized yet, you will by the end of this season. So send us an email right now and we will get you the link to join us on our Zoom open share groups when we're done here just before 8 o'clock.
So cool.
And we need to just keep reminding you guys, tonight is the last night. If you have not updated Zoom, make sure you do it because starting, I believe tomorrow, they've got a huge upgrade that they're doing and you need to be on Zoom 5.0. I think it's 5.0, something like that. So make sure that you guys get in and update. We are just reminding you to take notes while you're teaching. This is something that we do on Friday nights. We give you a little note sheet so you can cut it in half and have your little half sheet just like we do on Friday nights. Find a clipboard if you want to feel nostalgic and if you want to take some notes. Wendy, I'm really excited for tonight's lesson. We are, I won't give it all away, but we're going to kind of do a bit of a recap for you guys. So we're going to talk about the last 10 weeks, guys. We've been doing this. This is our 11th week, I think. 12th week? I don't even
11.
know.
Yeah.
11. Okay. So we're going to recap the last 10 weeks. So we're going to have lots of good nuggets for you guys tonight. And if you are celebrating anything, let us know. We want to celebrate with you guys. I'm just seeing a bunch of you coming on. But yeah, we would love to celebrate a milestone with you. If you're getting any medallion or any chip, let us know. 30 days, 10 days, 3 years, 10 years. We would love to celebrate that with you. So,
That's good.
yeah.
I get
Think
to,
that's all.
I love, are you good? Are we good? We're good.
Go, yeah.
Go. Okay, go. She says, I want to do a shout out to our Celebration Place families and our Celebration
Mm-hmm.
kiddos. We miss seeing you, and we look forward to being back with you. And I don't know, when I talk about kids, I was just reminded, I don't watch the news very often, Jen, but I was told through the grapevine that the kids aren't going back to school until September. So I was like, wow, if I was one of those kids, what would I be doing? I was thinking, well, if I was in grade 2, I'd probably pretty excited about that. And but then I'd be pretty bummed if I was not finishing school, if I was in grade 12 or something like that. But we would love to hear what you guys, like, whether you'd be like so excited, like this is the best thing, or what. And I know that some of you guys have kids out there. So like, how's it going in your house? Like, we'd love in the comments just to start that conversation. Like, how are you guys doing with these changes and all of these things? How about you, Jen? What would you
Yeah. Well, I will say my niece is graduating from grade 12 this year, and so it's been a sad year. Lots of disappointing things, right? No prom. She bought her prom dress 2 weeks before COVID or something like that. And she is a dancer. She's a ballerina, and Aunt Jen has gone to so many ballet recitals for so many years, and I was so excited for her solo ballet year, and
Oh,
we didn't get to see that. So that was a little bummer. But I tell you, if I was a kid in school, I would have been loving this. I would have missed my friends. I wasn't the biggest school fan, but I think I'm with you that elementary school would have been a whole lot easier to just because I played outside all summer anyways. My mom was constantly like, go out and play. Like we didn't have devices, we didn't have anything. So I don't know. I think I would have been okay, but for sure harder as I got older. So I'm just seeing here if there's. Um, oh, you guys haven't started any conversations about that, but do like start commenting on those things so that we want to hear how things are going. Oh, there's Becky. Grade 8 boy is missing his grad also. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
there's so many. Oh, and Roy's daughter is missing grade 12. It's hard, but we're figuring out
Yeah.
how to do life differently, right? It's a whole new world.
Well, I won't sing. Almost.
Please do, Wendy. They always want me to sing on Friday nights at Creekside, so now you can bring your lovely voice to the table. I wanted to sing that with you, so we won't. We will spare you guys that. So while you guys are just continuing to comment and just have some conversations about that, we are gonna do a worship song with Chris and Joy. So we're gonna throw that over to them and enjoy a worship song.
Awesome.
Hey everybody, we are so glad you're here with us tonight. Welcome to CR. We're so glad that you've decided to come and worship with us. We are here to lift up the name of Jesus higher. So let's do that together wherever you are. Don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. Raise your voice and sing.
Trust the name of Jesus. You are the only King forever. Almighty God, we lift you higher. You are the only King forever, forevermore. You are victorious. You are the only King forever. Almighty God, we lift you higher. You are the only King forever, forevermore. You are victorious. Unmatched in all your wisdom, in love and justice you reign. Every knee will bow. We bring our lift our banner high. We lift the name of Jesus from age to age you reign. Your kingdom has no end. We lift our banner high. We lift the name of Jesus from age to age you reign. Your kingdom has no end. You are the only King forever. Almighty God, we lift you higher. You are the only King forever, forevermore.
You are victorious, you are the only King forever. Mighty God, we lift you higher. You are the only King forever, forevermore. You are victorious.
Thank you so much, Chris and Joy. I saw the comment there, Chris taking the lead. Way to go. That was awesome. You guys did great tonight. So you guys probably don't know this, but we are on a slight delay from the live. So we are seeing your comments coming in now. It's awesome to be reading those. Kindergarten graduations, some of you guys, teachers and ECs who are just missing your kids. Yeah, homeschooling is hard. I can only imagine. And kids missing their friends. We saw Avery is missing his friends. And yeah, so thanks guys for just commenting. And yeah, it is a very curious season, and it's going to be really neat to see how we just continue to walk this out. But all you parents there, I tell you, you're doing a great job. You're doing a really great job. It is not easy right now.
Not an easy.
So, no.
Not at all.
No.
But we're gonna jump in, aren't we, Jen?
We are. Let's do it.
Let's do this. And so tonight, it's the one where we look back. I don't know if you've noticed some of our little lines. We've had emoji ones. We've had Pride Busters. So this one is called the one where we look back. So we're just going to take some time and we're going to grab some highlights from the last 10 weeks where we can learn how to experience change. And I know that sometimes I just like to look back and I like to remember what it was like before recovery and how God has changed me over the last 9 years. There was a lot of baggage that had piled up, and I didn't even actually really know it had. The awareness for me started when I went through lesson number 1, denial. And so tonight, we're going to highlight some of our previous, we're not going to dig in deep. If you want to, you can go back and you can have a look and see what they are. But we're going to just look at some of them through the lens of awareness. So we're going to look at self-awareness, we're going to look at other awareness, and we're going to look at God awareness. And we're going to look at, where Jen and I are just going to share through some of what it looked like when we were kind of unhealthy in these areas. And then as we use some of these tools over the years, how we have become healthier. And we say healthier because I think this is a process, it's a journey. We're just going to continue to do this. So let's dive in. Self-awareness, I'm the look up the definition kind of gal. So it's a conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And what I really liked when I looked it up, it was like, this is something that can be practiced and cultivated. It's not something that has to be innate in me. So I was like, ooh, I like that because this means that I can learn. So in all honesty, in a self-awareness, before I came into recovery, I was unaware of who I was apart from other people. I often denied my own feelings and my own needs. If I stayed busy enough, I found if I stayed busy enough, I wouldn't have any time to think, feel, or even be aware. And that was kind of what I tried to do. I was never ever taught how to deal with my emotions, what they were, or how to navigate those. And my habits of isolation and my hard-heartedness and my codependency left me bound to this lack of self-awareness. And when I was just feeling out of control, and maybe you can relate to this, or powerless, then instead of sitting down and looking at these things, I would try to control the outcome and avoid as much as possible any of the problems happening. I just try to avoid it so much. So I have really had a lack of self-awareness. And I'm wondering, Jen, what has your experience been with self-awareness?
Well, Wendy, I can totally relate for sure to the resentments. Absolutely. For me, self awareness was something that I never really gave much thought to. And quite frankly, I assumed that I had some on some level. And it wasn't until coming into recovery, that would be my cat jumping onto something she's not supposed to be on. Sorry, guys. Live TV. Okay, so it wasn't until coming into recovery that I realized how little self awareness I actually had. I quickly started realizing that I had a very good sense of who I portrayed myself to be to everyone because I had put those masks on for so many years. And I had to know who she was so that I could keep that part of my life straight. One label I was very confident about my whole life was that I was angry. And apparently, everyone knew this, even my dentist, because he gave me that label when I started grinding my teeth in high school. And quite frankly, it made me angry that everyone told me I was always angry. And I remember the first time that somebody told me that anger was actually a secondary emotion. And I was like, whoa, that that again made me so angry because how could it be a secondary emotion when I felt it? It felt like a primary emotion. It was right there all the time. But the reality is as I've learned, my anger was always a good indicator that something else was actually bubbling below the surface. And I had no idea what some of these bubblings were when I arrived at CR. And as I heard others share, I slowly began to learn what my masks were hiding and where my anger was actually coming from. I had this need to be in control of everything and everyone. I had really poor boundaries, which bolstered my control and my anger. And I hated the masks that I wore for so long. Um, and as I started to take those off, it revealed more self hatred, which again bolstered my anger. I think we're seeing a theme here, aren't we? Because it was a mess, and I was a mess. I also learned that when I felt disrespected or unheard, my anger would also rise up. And it's been so empowering for me to learn more about where my anger comes from and why I feel it. And I've also had to learn that no one can make me feel anything. We've talked about this a couple weeks ago. I have the choice to let their actions or words affect me. And then I can choose whether I want to succumb to my anger or not. So that's kind of the unhealthy side. So, what does it look like in the healthier version of self awareness for me? So, getting healthier in my self awareness has been a process. Besides using therapy, I did therapy for a lot of years. CR has been such an incredible tool because it's helped me understand more about what's going on below the surface with my anger. The feelings chart that we referenced a couple of times, that has also been a really powerful tool to give me more descriptive words about what's going on. Instead of, I kind of had a few generic ones that I knew, but that just expanded my vocabulary, if you will. And and being able to identify what was underneath has been so empowering. So now I can just sit in those feelings a whole lot easier. I can feel them because I now know that it's okay to feel those feelings. I don't have to be afraid of them. And I know that those feelings will eventually pass. I've also really appreciated learning more about my leaky face. It's proven very helpful. And I learned about this in a book by Sheila Heen. If you're interested, you can grab it. When I'm leaky, I give my feelings away without saying a word. Um, and yet, my expressions can be just as damaging as my words are. So I've had to work really hard on becoming more neutral and not letting those emotions leak out. But also, I've invited safe people into my world who can help me understand what my face is saying when I'm feeling certain things, but I'm not wanting to necessarily communicate them, but yet I am. And I tell you, it's really humbling when somebody points that out to me. So, Wendy, how have you noticed a healthier version of your self awareness?
Oh, Jen, I can, when you always talk about this leaky face, and I was like, I just get it. I so get it, and I continue to try to work on it. And I was also encouraged, just to, like, when you're using these tools, you can tell by what you're sharing that you're using these tools, and then you become empowered. So it's just so cool, just to see that shift in that movement from being unaware, kind of, and then as we learn these things, we just become more and more aware. And so I agree. Like my CR and my community and counseling have been just instrumental in me becoming more self-aware, and it's just given me a safe place where I can grow and I can learn. And so one of the lessons that really resonated with me and has was why CR, and Rick talked about how it impacted his life. And when I started in CR, that's where I started to come out of denial. And once I started coming out of denial, then there wasn't much of a choice but to become more and more aware. And I just started walking along and just focusing on what my things were instead of the people around me. So it just most certainly shined that light back on myself. And we talked about, and you talked about it, Jen, too, and I think it just is so important about this labeling of our emotions. And I just started to get curious about that, and I started to grab that feeling chart, or a feeling chart, any feeling chart that you can get your hands on. And now I can actually identify those emotions, and I can actually allow myself to feel them. And it just brings so much more clarity and understanding about myself, and often about others as well. But we're talking about self-awareness right now, so let's stick on that. But allowing me to allowing me to accept myself, all of myself, every gamut of it, not just one or two things here and there. So it just allows me to, when I'm identifying my feelings, it allows me to navigate them and understand them a lot better. And the other one, and Jen also touched on it, is this attitude. When we went through that attitude lesson, it was just such a reminder to me that I'm the one that's responsible for my attitude, and I really appreciate it. And if you didn't get a chance to have a look at it, Jen shared 5 ways that we can choose our attitude. And so number 1, she went through awareness, and then again, labeling those feelings, making a choice. And she talked about a 90-second rule. I think she talks about it a little bit later. Just some gold in there. And number 4, acknowledging that lie. And number 5, building that team. And you're going to hear Jen and I continue to talk about CR and the team and all of these things that we just learned that have helped us become more aware and self-aware. So that's kind of self-aware. So now, as we mentioned, we're going to go on and move on to other aware. And so I don't know about you, but have you ever been standing with someone and you're just chatting away and you're just talking, and then all of a sudden, like they start looking around, or maybe they're looking over your shoulder at the people behind you, and maybe they even pull out their cell phone and they really aren't making eye contact with you or paying attention to you at all. Or perhaps maybe you've encountered somebody that just keeps interrupting you. You can tell they really aren't listening, and they simply are planning their next response instead of focusing on your face or your words or what you're saying. Essentially, they're not really present in the conversation. Perhaps, like me, you've experienced someone like that. Or also perhaps like me, you've been that person. I know I have. I've been known to be distracted when I'm in a conversation. My husband and my kids say, like, are you actually gonna like finish that thought? Like, are you just gonna like, and so I just get so distracted and I'm just not present with them. And so I still do that today, but I'm getting better. But I've done that, and I want to continue. This is an area that I just want to get better and being other aware. But I'm going to go into that later about what it's going to look like, because I'm pretty super excited. But Jen, what have your past experiences been with this other awareness?
Thanks, Wendy. And I just want to comment too, some of you were asking about the feelings chart that we've referenced. We've sent an email to see if we can get more copies of the one that we have specifically referenced, and we haven't heard back, but there are tons of them online. And I have another one here that, where is my camera in focus? There we go. This one is online. I just printed it off. It is free, so you can grab it and laminate it, do what you want. So there are lots of good resources out there. Yeah, lots of great feelings charts. So back to others awareness for me. So when I came into CR years ago, I was very self-absorbed. I was the person that Wendy just described, looking all over the place, focusing on other things, constantly worrying or processing what I was going to share with that person because I just had such great things to share with people. But I was also the victim in my life. How I felt was usually because of or the result of what someone else said or did to me. I was very entitled and I believed that I was generally right. And I was such a good rule follower. And so it was usually others who were to blame and it was their fault, not my own. And I slowly began to learn that the world doesn't actually revolve around me, go figure, or my feelings. And I'm not always right. That was a bit of a shock. And I am also responsible for my actions and reactions. So it is also not my entitled right to share my opinion with others. As you can see, I had a lot to learn when I came into recovery, and I haven't arrived, but I had a lot to learn. So when I felt like I was entitled or when I felt like the victim, I used my anger as an armor because it helped me feel safe from others. But I soon learned that hurt people hurt people. And that was exactly what I was doing. My hurt was hurting other people in my anger. And I just had no idea that others were hurting as much as I was because I was self absorbed and I was trying to keep myself safe and I was never really taught to see others in a healthy way. But in recovery, I began to learn how to listen. And as as I heard more stories, I realized that there are so many people out there who were hurting just like me because they themselves, that people were hurting me because they themselves were hurting and they just didn't know what else to do. So as I continued to get more healthy in my others awareness, um, it it too was a process. And one of the most practical tools for me has been CR. Sitting in open share group, I tell you, it forced me to be a listener because I was the one that was quick to respond, that always had an opinion, that always had something to say. And I couldn't do that at open share. And it was one of the best things ever for me. I learned how to be an active listener, to truly hear what others were saying, what they were going through, not trying to fix them, because remember, as soon as I'm focusing on their problems, I don't have to focus on mine anymore. But I just genuinely listened. It was this really novel concept, and it was so incredible to hear their stories and understand what made them them. Breathing has also been a really powerful tool for me. Taking 10 seconds to just breathe before I react in a conversation. Understanding that, and Wendy alluded to this as well, the 90-second rule. So there's for 90 seconds, those chemicals are just like surging through our bodies when we are triggered. And so when my anger is triggered, I need to take that time to just breathe, give myself a moment, and let myself feel what I'm feeling and not react, but I want to respond. And not reacting has been huge for me in my relationships with others. So, Wendy, tell me now, what are some of the tools that have been helpful for you to become
Yes.
healthier in your others awareness?
Now, so when you were sharing, Jen, and it's interesting, you start early in people's recovery journey with them, right? And you see them, and it's just been really so super cool just to watch Jen grow in this ability of just like centering in on one person and just giving her them your full attention. So I've been a recipient of that, and it's just a really cool thing to watch people grow and just become aware. So I appreciate when people are other aware, and it's something that I want to continue to grow in as I remember. I love when people remain engaged in the conversation and they make me feel like I'm the only one in the room. And I've said this and I have to just continue to remind myself, I just really want to get good at this. And a couple of the Friday Night Lives that speak directly to what I needed to do to become more other aware we talked about avoidant behavior. And this avoidant behavior, it left me really self-absorbed. And Also, instead of, I was self-absorbed, not other aware, and my codependency and control just wreaked havoc in my ability to be other aware. And as I confronted these avoidant behaviors like isolating and distracting and avoiding and busyness, then I was able to actually look outside of myself and be other aware. So that was a big thing for me in recovery, is just not doing some of those things, so then I actually could focus on others. And the other one was, we talked last week about pride, and we chatted about how it just subtly comes in and it sneaks into our lives. For example, not asking for help and self-sufficiency was one that really robbed me in my earlier years. It still kind of sneaks in there. Being critical about others, that also had me not focusing well on others. But as we use the Pride Busters, and Mark walked us through these Pride Busters that we could have. So when I stay in praying, it takes the focus off myself. When I read the Bible, I'm getting truth, and it's not just focused on myself, and identifying, keeping my identity rooted in Christ, and doing everything for God. Sorry, my coworker just startled me. I thought he would stay at bay, but he jumped on my lap. So slightly distracted. Back to identity in Christ, doing everything for God's glory and each other. And I love that. And that goes back to that community and inviting people in, like Jen said, so that we can just continue to become more and more aware. And we're going to go and move on to, I feel discombobulated because of my little coworker that's still sitting there ready to jump back on my lap. But we're going to move into God awareness. And so, as I mentioned earlier, Control and me were pretty tight buds. And I had heard about God in my growing up years. And I believed that there were a list of rules that I would never measure up to. And I don't remember a lot of conversations about a relationship with Jesus. And as soon as that uncomfortableness of going to church was greater than the benefits, then I just stopped going. I was never going to be a perfect follower of Jesus, and that just didn't sit well with me. And my self-sufficiency and my control, they acted like false gods, really an unreliable God. And these idols they just needed to be ousted. I didn't know that they needed to be, but they needed to be ousted from my life. So my God awareness was not based anywhere in truth. And so, like, Jen, we've talked about this, but can you share with our community what that awareness of God was like when you started recovery?
Absolutely. Seriously, Wendy, what is up with the cats tonight? We are just struggling. Okay. And yeah, Chris is like, revenge of the cats. It really is. So back to God. We're all discombobulated tonight. So yeah, Wendy, what's so cool is we have such different stories. And guys, I just want to remind you that Wendy and I have been in recovery for a long time. So this is a process. Like, all of these things that we're sharing tonight, yes, they sound really simple, but it doesn't mean they're easy. And Wendy and I have such different stories, and yet we still like have these same root issues, and we still have so many similarities and commonalities. So the power of learning from each other, this is where we just see it so beautifully. So the difference with me and Wendy is that I've actually known Jesus my entire life. I knew him well before recovery. I was born into the church. So I haven't actually gone a day without knowing who Jesus is. And I really strived for a relationship with him most of my life. So yeah, I knew him, but did I know him? I tried to be that perfect Christian for most of my life. And I tell you guys, it was exhausting. And at one point, I did walk away from my faith and from church for a couple of years because it just felt like it would be so much easier. And I could just be who I thought I was, right? I could take those masks off and just be Jen. But the reality is that actually left me feeling really angry at God. or so I thought I was angry at God. I actually realized that my anger was because I felt disappointed. I felt let down and hurt by so many others. And so I blamed God for allowing that to happen to me. So as I became more healthy in my relationship with God, my healthier version of God awareness also began for me in CR. Go figure. Again, we're seeing these themes here, right? I had CR every week. I call my sponsor my wise old owl. She is just such an incredibly wise woman. I have my Bible, and these have all been such invaluable tools for me to help get to know God better. And I'm so thankful that God is the calm in my storm. He doesn't get angry at me. He doesn't punish me. He doesn't sit on his throne just waiting to point that finger and point out all my flaws or tell me when my face is leaking. He's always just waiting there for me to come to him. He just wants me to sit with him. He wants to love me. He wants to bless me. And I don't deserve that. But yet he gives it to me so freely. And I love that God sees the whole picture, not just the little view that I have. He knows where my anger is coming from. He knows why I have it. And he allows me to feel all of those feelings. And when I ask, he's right there to help me walk through those feelings. Guys, let me tell you, it has been so incredible to experience peace in the middle of an angry storm. When I'm just feeling so angry with another person, I need to stop, I need to breathe, and I say a little silent prayer to myself. And in that moment, God gives me the strength that I need to respond in a much healthier way. Or he gives me the sense of calm to just know how to react or not react. And oftentimes he helps me see that other person's hurt and where they're coming from. And sometimes he just completely gives me a whole change of heart so that I don't feel the need to respond the way I thought. But let me tell you guys, when I walk through my anger alone, it never ends that way. It is not a good picture. And I generally have to go back and make amends. And so I'm learning, sometimes very slowly, but I'm learning to choose God in those moments because I don't want to have to keep spending my life walking back with my tail between my legs, making amends to somebody. And now, sorry, that was a terrible transition,
good,
Wendy.
It's all good.
I'm coming back to you.
It's all good. I'm just listening away, and it's like, okay. I really appreciated how, Jen, you said that you have to choose God in those moments, and just how that is such a rewarding choice. And I also really appreciated how you reiterated that this is a process. And I have said to so many people, and I have to say it to myself so often, I just have to keep practicing. I just have to keep practicing. So like Jen said, I might not respond or not invite God in, but then I have that opportunity to go back and practice and make amends and make it right. And so when I came in to Celebrate Recovery, that is when my relationship with Jesus flourished. Like I had been going to church, I had returned to the church a bit before that, but I was still pretty rule based, didn't understand the personal relationship. And so CR has been that vehicle that God has used for me to just focus on my relationship with Jesus. And all of the materials in CR reminded me of who God was, that I couldn't do these things. I couldn't experience the change that I wanted without this relationship. And as Jen was sharing, I was just thinking, this God awareness helps us with our self-awareness and with our other awareness. Like it just is all so intertwined. And I can't really, in my flesh, sometimes can't even be other aware. And so I really like how Jen said that. Like if she tries to do her anger on her own, then it doesn't always turn out well. And that's when I go in and I try to have a relationship with somebody and I try to control and not give them to God, then it just doesn't work out really well. And so CR has been instrumental in me experiencing change as I partner with God and I partner with my accountability team. And the other one that is really important for me to continue to be God aware is that these routines and habits, and early on when we started Friday Night Lives, we talked about routines, and I was just reminded, and I know, and I've had a routine, but sometimes they have to be tweaked, and we talked about that. But I have to have this daily routine of creating these habits of praying and reading my Bible, spending time with God. I'm exploring different ways of spending time with God, whether it be in my garden or sitting on the deck. And I appreciated one of our pastors on the weekend said, would you sit out, and if God asked you to sit out and watch a bird for an hour, would you do it? And I'm thinking, sign me up. It's like, how can I continue to be more aware of God? And so those habits and routines have just played a huge part. I have to be honest, you will have noticed that all of our lessons that Jen and I have done through the last 10 weeks have focused back on our relationship with Jesus. And that's where the healing and the opportunity to experience change is just spoken so loudly. So I pulled up the scripture today, Joshua 1:9, and it says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And so if he's with us wherever we go, then that makes it pretty easy to be God aware if we keep our eyes open. So Jen's going to wrap us up.
I am. I'm back here with you. I tell you, Wendy, I go away for a week and I just forget what I'm doing here, it seems like. So yeah, those were such great reminders, Wendy, and it really is sometimes just as simple as Jesus. Sometimes we just can complicate it so much, but there is so much simplicity in it. So as we've said, we've spent the last 10 weeks, guys, talking about a bunch of different topics, things that we have found have been really helpful for us in our journeys, and hopefully they've been helpful for you guys as well. And so as we looked back and just stopped for a moment, we realized that every single week, we've really been able to summarize every single week into three things: being self-aware, being others aware, and being God aware. This is what it all boils down to. And hopefully, as we share, as we were sharing, you could think of some examples for yourself and in your own story about how you have been in a more unhealthy space versus a healthier space. And our desire for you is mostly that you just know Jesus and focus on him. That's what it all boils down to. And as you do that, to become a healthier version, and as you do that, it's because we want you to be a healthier version of you. So shifting from that unhealthy place into a healthier place in those specific areas. And as we've talked about in the weeks past, guys, this is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And it doesn't happen alone. It doesn't happen without intentionality. So is there an area of your life where you want to be that healthier version? What do you need to do to get yourself there? It starts with one step. That's it. And Wendy just used the garden analogy, and I'm bringing it in too here. So a fruit tree does not bear fruit in the first season that it's planted and rooted. It takes a year for those roots to get in. It takes some pruning. It takes a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of water as well. But take some time to think about, what is that fruit that you want to produce? And what are the things that you're doing today to help you get there? And if there's one thing I can say with absolute certainty for both Wendy and me, and you heard it so clearly tonight, is that coming to CR, just showing up at CR, has been one of the best steps and one of the most rewarding tools that we have had. And now Friday Night Live, for those of you who haven't actually been to a CR group yet, Friday Night Live is that amazing tool. And I truly believe it's been so amazing for me and Wendy, and it can be so amazing for you as well. So Wendy, will you close us in prayer tonight?
I would love to. So, Father, we thank you. We thank you that you are with us always. We thank you that you, like Jen had said, you just love us, and you don't come with your pointed finger and wagging it when we're not doing everything perfectly. That you are just so gracious and so loving, and that you just meet us right where we're at, and you just link arms with us, and you partner with us, and you walk with us as we go through this process of becoming more aware of who you are, more aware of who you've created us to be, being self-aware, and how we become more aware of those around us. So, Father, I pray as we go today, this might have been a lot of information for some of us to hear. So, Father, I pray that as Jen was challenging us, is there one thing? Father, I just pray that you show us what that one thing is that will just continue to move us toward the freedom that you have for us. So we thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Deep breath, eh?
Deep breath, indeed.
He's a good, good God.
He is. Amazing. So we're going to go and worship him now because he just deserves all of our worship and praise. So let's join Chris and Joy again for another worship song.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Let's worship together one more time. This song declares that we have all we need in Jesus. So let's celebrate that together tonight. There is healing in the power of the Lord Most High. There is courage in the shadow of His way. There is peace unending over all my life. There is freedom that washes over me. And I find all I need here in your presence, Lord. I open up my soul bless you guys. Good night.
Oh, I think I just cut off some of Joy's words, but we're back. Wow, Wendy, apparently I'm never allowed to take holidays again. This is just crazy. Oh
I
my
have an
goodness.
appreciation after doing it last week. I have a sheer appreciation for what you were doing. And
There's
driving
a
the
few
bus.
little things. Yeah, driving the bus. I forgot how to drive stick shift in a week. So guys, I just wanted to acknowledge some of your comments here. It was really cool to just see how honest and vulnerable you guys were in some of your comments. So just thank you. We love that we have this community here where we can just be really open and just share where we're at. And I saw that Deb mentioned we have some folks from BC and Newfoundland joining us tonight. So shout out to Coast to Coast, man. That's really awesome. So cool to have you guys here. And yeah, so, and I'm just going to say one little thing too, guys. Now that I see you all typing my name, I'm Jen with one N. So feel free to type my name with Jen with one N. It's just Jen, really simple. I know it's a little thing, but that's who I am. So anyways, there we go. Thank you for humoring me. Okay. And Wendy, you're on for announcements.
So emailing us, I think it's down. Do you have it down there, Jen?
I'm nope. Yes.
Okay. If you email us at cr@creeksidechurch.ca, prayer requests, questions, celebrations, we just want to hear from you. And also, we know that during this time, sometimes you just need a little bit more. And so if you're looking for another CR event or night, check out the CR Canada's Facebook page. You can, King's Church in the Out East is doing streaming a CR night on Tuesday nights there. And also there, if you go on, you can watch on CR, it's actually Facebook, Celebrate Recovery. Also, there's some information on there as well if you're just looking to connect in with some more information. So
yes,
that's how you can get connected to us and others. And so our open share question for tonight is, what impacted you from tonight? We covered a lot of stuff. So what impacted you from tonight, and what's the next step you're going to take? And that concludes that part of our program, event, whatever you want to call it. But we do have episode. There you go.
Episode, yeah.
Episode. So we're going to do the Serenity Prayer. And again, we have a new voice. So guess who it is. Put it in the comments. See if you can get it. And we get to say goodbye.
We do. And thank you all for humoring me. And I see your comments coming in with Jen with one N. Thank you. Yes, thanks. Yay. So we will say our goodnights for this week, and we will be back. Guys, it is June next week. So we will be back here on Friday at 7 o'clock. We'll be live, and we hope you join us. Bring a friend, have a watch party. Come and join us.
Great idea.
Love it. All right. And who knows, Wendy, maybe one of these days we're actually going to sit beside each other again. Like we might actually get to do this. I don't know.
You might. It's going to come. Crazy. I think I got to look at those rules because I think we can come and sit and be like 6 feet apart or something. So
I would love to.
It's going to come soon. So don't be surprised. Awesome. Don't be surprised.
No.
We'll do it safely, but we might actually sit in the same room.
I just got me so excited. Okay, we're going to do Serenity Prayer. We'll say our goodnight, and we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
See you later.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy together with you in the next.